Imagine seeing a flag with three bold colors, green, white, and red, and an eagle standing proudly on a cactus on the center of the flag. To many people, it is simply the national flag of Mexico, but to millions of Mexicans, it represents the centuries of history, indigenous traditions, colonization, and the struggle for independence. Every time I see the Mexican flag, I am reminded that it tells the story of people who persevered their culture despite centuries of change. Today, I will be sharing the Mexican flag, explaining its history, what it means to me personally, and how it is used within Mexican culture. The Mexican flag plays an important role in Mexican culture because it represents the country's history, identity, cultural heritage, and it reminds people of the indigenous civilization that helped shape Mexico while also representing the influence of Spanish colonization in the country's fight for independence. According to an article called Exploring Mexican Cultural Identity and a Journey Through History, Art and Tradition, written by Adriana Solano, Mexican cultural identity has been shaped and influenced by indigenous history, colonialism, and traditions that continue to connect with the past, with the present. The Mexican flag reflects that same connection by representing the resilience and identity of the Mexican people. To begin, I will explain the history of the Mexican flag, then I will discuss what the flag means to me personally, and finally I will explain how the flag is used within Mexican culture. First, I will explain historical significance of the Mexican flag. The history of the flag begins long before Mexico became an independent nation. Before Spanish colonization, many indigenous civilizations helped what is now Mexico, including the Mexica, also known as the Aztecs. According to an article called The Eagle, the Cactus, the Serpent became an emblem and endured during European conquest by Maria Teresa. The eagle on the center of the Mexican flag comes from an ancient Mexican legend. Sorry for the mispronunciation of some of these names. The god Huitzilopochtli instructed the Mexican people to search for a place where they could find an eagle perched on a cactus while devouring a serpent. After nearly 175 years of searching, they found the sign and founded the city of now Tenochtitlan in 1325, where Mexico City stands today. The article also explains that the eagle, cactus, and serpent remained important even after the Spanish conquest and eventually became a lasting symbol of Mexico's identity. The Spanish conquest changed Mexico forever. Indigenous societies lost their independencies. Many of their traditions and ways of life were altered through colonization. However, many indigenous customs, beliefs, and symbols survived, became part of Mexico's identity. The eagles, the cactus, and the serpents are examples of indigenous symbols that endured during colonization and continue to represent Mexico to this day. Nearly 300 years later, Mexico fought for its independence from Spain. According to the article, The Origins of the Mexican Flag, written by Teodoro Amalink, on February 24, 1821, Agustin de Iturbide created the Army of the Three Guerratis, and the colors green, white, and red. Although historians are not entirely certain what the colors originally represented, some believe they're inspired by the ancient symbols of Michoacan. Green represented hope and independence, while white represented the Catholic religion, and red represented the equal union of all people of Mexico without discrimination. When the Army of Three Guerratis entered Mexico City, the colors were arranged vertically with the eagle placed in the center, creating the foundation of the Mexican flag we recognize today. Over time, the meanings of the colors have changed with Mexico itself. Today, green is commonly associated with hope, while white represents unity, and red symbolizes the blood and sacrifice of those who fought for Mexico's independence. Although the meanings have changed since the flag was first created, the colors continue to remind people of the nation's history, resilience, and unity. Next, I will explain what the Mexican flag means to me. As a Mexican American, the Mexican flag reminds me of my family and the culture we share. Whenever I see it, I think about my relatives and our traditions and where my family comes from. Growing up, I would often see the Mexican flag during family gathering, cultural celebration, and during the World Cup. It always reminded me of the pride my family has in our heritage and our country. When I am away from my family, seeing Mexican flag reminds me of them and helps me feel connected to my roots even though we are apart. Learning about the history of the flag has also made me appreciate it more, knowing that it represents both Mexico's indigenous history and the country's fight for independence, which gives it a deeper meaning. It also reminds me that my culture has survived through many challenges, and perseverance of our traditions and history is something to be proud of it. Finally, I will explain how the Mexican flag is used within the culture. The Mexican flag is displayed during Independence Day celebrations, cultural festivals, schools, government buildings, sporting events, and family gatherings. During Mexican Independence Day, people proudly wave the flag while celebrating the country's history and honoring those who fought for its freedom. Many Mexican Americans also display the flag during holidays, cultural events to stay connected to their heritage even while living outside of Mexico. The flag is also seen during international sporting events such as the World Cup, where fans proudly wave to support Mexican athletes and teams. In these moments, the flag becomes more than just a national symbol. It becomes something that unites the people through shared culture and history, whether it is displayed in Mexico or by Mexican communities around the world. The Mexican flag reminds people of where they come from and encourages future generations to continue celebrating their heritage. Today, I explained the history of the Mexican flag, I shared what it means to me personally, and discussed how it is used within Mexican culture. The Mexican flag is much more than a national symbol. It represents Mexico's indigenous roots and the effects of Spanish colonizations and the country's struggle for independence. For me, it also represents my families and the culture that has been passed down through generations. Whenever I see the Mexican flag, I am reminded that no matter where I am, I always have a connection to my family and my heritage. I hope after hearing this speech, you can see the Mexican flag is not just a piece of fabric, but a symbol of resilience, history, and identity. Thank you.